Hello Option Strat traders, Steve Gans here sharing another trade concept with you. I'm still in Kauai, as you can see, with the great waves crashing on the rocks behind me here. But I wanted to share this with you. Now I'm looking at doing an entire new series that I'm going to call Contrast and Compare. I know when I was an early options trader, first of all, there was none of the great tools like you guys have here with Option Strat, but it was very difficult to try to understand what trade to put on when. Why would you use a certain trade over a different trade? So what I want to do with this Contrast and Compare series is I'd like to look at different trades that are similar in nature and kind of contrast and compare how they operate and how they work in different market situations, so that over time people can kind of learn what works best in what situation. So I want to start off with this, and I'd like your feedback. So if you would, go into the comments below in YouTube and let me know if you'd like to see a series like that. Today we're going to compare a butterfly to a straddle. But similar trades might be comparing a butterfly to an iron condor, for example, or to compare an all put condor to an all call condor, or to compare stock to a synthetic stock position. These are all ideas that I have that I think might be helpful. But I'd like to hear from you, first of all, whether you think a series like that would be beneficial, number one. And number two, you tell me what things you would like to see contrasted and compared. I'd like to stick to some extent with standard options positions initially. Verticals, condors, butterflies, things along those lines. We can of course branch it out from there. So let's just take a look right here. I'm looking at, in this case, Cisco. Now Cisco has earnings in a couple days. They've got earnings on, actually it's about a week out, so I'm probably a little early on this one. But we can still do this trade now, and then we can watch and see how it acts after that earnings report. So let's come in, and what we want to do is, first thing we want to do is we want this to be after our earnings. So again, earnings were on the 17th, so we're going to want this trade to be out there till the 19th. So that's what we're going to look at. Now, the first thing I want you to notice is just the significant difference of what happens when we go from the 12th to the 19th. Now, this isn't really part of what I wanted to show today, but this is pretty valuable stuff right here. So again, earnings are on the 17th. So volatility for the 19th is going to be high because there's that big question mark around earnings. What's going to happen? Or is the market going to go up or down in Cisco around earnings? So look at the amount of credit that this trade would bring in when we are putting it on around earnings, compared to if we put it on this week. We're only going to get $66 in credit. Now, part of that is because, of course, it's a week earlier. There's a week less time decay. But the bigger part of that is the volatility aspect, the fact that there's a big unknown a week out, or a week and a half at this point, around earnings. So if we come and take a look again at a chart here, we can kind of see, well, we might expect that unless there's something really significant with earnings, we might expect earnings to maybe float, maybe between 50 to probably 42, somewhere in that general range. So if we come here, this takes us down to 45 range, and then up to 47 range, up to the, 45 to 47. That's the range we're in there. So a little bit tighter range than our possible movement range. But again, that's not really my goal of what I want to show here today. So the thing that I want everyone to see is if we put this trade on, and again, our expiration is right after earnings, so volatility is high in these particular options. And right now we have what is a risk-defined position. So our maximum profit in this position is $119. Our maximum loss in this defined risk position is $31. In order to have the 119 happen, this thing would have to be right at 46.50 at expiration next Friday. So that's a pretty tall order. We're not probably going to pin that, and we're not really looking to pin that. Again, our main goal here is to look at putting on 2 trades in paper. Always my trades are recommended in paper. And the goal again is to contrast and compare in this case. So we're going to do this butterfly where we have a net credit of 119. That's going to be our max potential risk or gain. Our max potential risk here is $31. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to save that trade. And this is going to be an iron butterfly. So we're going to save that. And again, I'll share these links down below as well so that people can load these in on your own platform. Now, the second thing I want to do here is, again, notice we got 119 net credit. What happens if I don't buy these wings, okay? In other words, if I'm okay, and I don't recommend this, but if I am okay flying without that wing protection, this is essentially an undefined risk trade. This means that we are fully exposed to whatever this thing might potentially do. A couple things I want you to see. The net credit that we're going to take on this is much, much higher. Now, to be clear, we're going to take in the exact same credit selling these 2 options. It's just that in the prior position that was down here, we were spending money to buy protection on both sides. We're now not buying that protection on both sides. So that's what makes up this difference. So this position has a much higher profit potential associated with it. But again, we have to keep in mind here that it also has unlimited risk. If there is some major news event that they announce, this thing could rip down and you could be down $1,200, or it could rip up and you could be down $1,000 or so. So there's a lot of different things that could potentially happen when you are undefined risk. So the trade-off here is, am I willing to accept undefined risk in exchange for a higher net credit and potential profit in the trade? So that's kind of the contrast and compare that we're looking at here. Again, every trader has to make this decision for themselves. I strongly suggest that no one make this trade live. You should always make it in paper, particularly when you're dealing with undefined risk. But go ahead and put both of these on. Now let's put this second one on. And of course, this is a straddle. And I don't want to overwrite existing. I want to save this as a new trade. And I'll copy that link as well. So these are going to be then the 2 different trades that we are contrasting and comparing. I'll also include kind of a written write-up in the description that will help maybe formalize this for you as well. So again, the final thing I want you to do, if you're not subscribed, of course, make sure you subscribe to the channel, because I'll be putting out more of these as time goes on. But give me feedback. Let me know if you like the contrast and compare concept, number 1. Number 2, let me know if there's any particular types of positions that you would like to see me contrast and compare next. So with that, Steve Gans signing off from Kauai, and happy trading, everyone.